We're now less than a month away from NFL Draft Day. What do the Cowboys do at running back in the draft? Plus, the line switches on the offensive line and a new kickoff rule in the NFL. We kick off the Blitz and it lands squarely in the landing zone. Next.
Pops out to the right, breaks a tackle. They blitz it. Prescott throws it down the right side for Lamb. Caught it! Back to throw, rush, sacked by Parsons.
Belt-tie snap. Prescott with plenty of time. Lobs it in zone. Jake Ferguson.
Oh, what a great time of year it is. The Final Four is all set. Baseball season is underway, and it is officially draft season. It is the month of April, and welcome to the Blitz. Bill Jones along with Nicole Hutchison. And I just love this time of the year, Nicole, because of my big green NFL draft scouting notebook. I am filling it up because the draft is now less than 4 weeks away.
Time is flying, Bill. I mean, draft is here. We're going to look up, and next thing you know, training camp's going to be right here, and then the season's going to be starting.
That's exactly right. And of course, this past week we had the owners' meetings going on in Orlando. We had the presence of the head coach there. Of course, the owner, president, general manager was there as well. We got an update on some players and some news that was emanating out of Orlando regarding a couple of the draft picks from last year, the first rounder Mazi Smith, as well as the second rounder Luke Schoonmaker, who underwent shoulder surgeries, both of them.
Yes. You hate to hear that, especially in the off season. I'm not sure exactly what happened in their off season training to have them have to undergo surgery. But hey, listen, that just means you got to look forward to what Mazi Smith brings in his second year. I mean, this is a Cowboys team that takes pride in the development of their guys and really pushing that second year jump. You look at Deron Bland, you look at Jake Ferguson, you look at Tyler Smith, who was all pro in his second season. You have to just give those guys grace because a lot of guys take longer to develop than others. And Mazi Smith, of course, in that rotation with Jonathan Hankins. Of course, Hankins isn't here as of right now. He would be the starter as of today. But I'm just looking forward to what Mazi Smith can bring. I know Mike McCarthy even said, last year was a big transition, and a lot goes into the transition that these guys make. So that's something that, to really note about Mike McCarthy, especially.
It is what Mike McCarthy confirmed, what we saw throughout the season last year. Mazi lost some weight as the season went on, and he says they got a better nutrition plan for him this year, and they're expecting big things as both Schoonmaker and Mazi Smith are expected to be ready for the start of training camp despite those shoulder surgeries. That's not all that Mike McCarthy talked about. How about that offensive line, and where does Tyler Smith fit in 2024? Let's hear from the coach.
Tyler Smith will take another step. We'll keep him at guard right now and see how it unfolds, but I thought we took a big step. If you look at the makeup of our offensive line last year, where our younger players as backups and got to play too. I mean, you could put Brock in the same category. He's been here, and no one was as close to Tyler Biadasz as he was. So I think that's a natural step for him to step in there, and we'll continue to grow. But we definitely do want to continue to add talent and depth to that room.
So your mindset is to keep Tyler Smith at guard, as you just said that?
As of today, I mean, let's get him. Let's fill up the room, and then we'll look at it.
So, as it stands right now, Tyler Smith is at offensive guard. He could kick out to left tackle where he played his rookie season, depending on what happens in the draft.
Yeah, I hope that he actually stays at left guard. Something that Tyler Smith, he always is very vocal about his versatility, right, and how he loves doing anything that's possible to help this team win. But I hope that he actually gets the chance to stay just because of the development. He did talk about the difference in playing left guard and left tackle and how there's a difference in the way that they push off that initial kick step, the spacing, the way that they strike. So I hope that for his development, he's able to stay at that position.
And playing at a Pro Bowl level at the left guard position, of course, the first round draft pick from 2 years ago, and also talking about Brock Hoffman taking a step forward, TJ Bass going into his second year. Those are contenders for interior offensive line starting spots, but clearly offensive line is something that the Cowboys are looking at as far as this draft is concerned, and the draft lines up well, especially at offensive tackle.
For sure. Deep class for center, deep draft class as far as left tackle. And there's a lot of different scenarios, right? If they choose Brock Hoffman to be the center, and if they draft a center, a lot of different scenarios with the Cowboys. Hopefully they can figure that out ASAP, though.
Yes, they need to, and by draft day for sure.
Yes.
All right, we continue with the blitzes. We're just getting started, and let's dive into the new kickoff in the NFL. Is it turpentine in Dallas when we come back?
The Dallas Cowboys Blitz, presented by Blockchain.com, is brought to you by AT&T, an official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. This segment is brought to you by AT&T, an official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
We were tasked with, hey, how can we bring live ball returns back into play, but making it safer? And that's a tough task, because if there's more returns, you're just going to assume there's going to be more injuries. But we feel like we've come up with a model where the return rate is going to go significantly up. We're not sure exactly where yet, but taking away all the space and speed from the kickoff team, basically eliminating their 30 yards of running start, we feel like it's going to be a much more close quarter combat play where you're not going to get the big collisions, which is where some of the injuries happen. So we feel like it's going to be a safer play and a better play because there's going to be more, live balls.
There he is, John Fossil, the Cowboys special teams coordinator, the man behind the major change you're going to see in NFL games in the fall. The kickoff is changing as we welcome you back here to the Blitz. Bill Jones and Nicole Hutchison. And truly, John Fossil was a big player in figuring out what to do about making kickoffs more effective.
Yeah, and I think it's actually going to pay off, right? You're reducing the amount of injuries that a lot of the players are having to endure, and then you're having to, obviously, you're benefiting the Cowboys as well, right? With Kevontae Turpin, a guy who specializes in punt returns. So you're going to get more excitement, you're going to get more value from the specialists as well. So I'm excited to see that.
So John Fossil had a hidden agenda there. It's turpentine.
I think so. It's turpentine.
That's right. All right, let's dive in. Let's take a deeper look into exactly what is going on as the kicker, the place kicker, will be back at his own 35-yard line. You'll have the kickoff team lined up at the 40-yard line, and then the receiving team in between the 30 and 35-yard line, just 10 yards apart from each other.
It's a little smaller quarters that they're going to be having to adjust to, so it'll be interesting to see the personnel that the Cowboys or any other team uses. Maybe skilled players, maybe bigger guys. I don't know. It'll be fun to see how they do that there.
Okay, and so now the key on this is the landing zone. That's between the goal line and the 20-yard line. The kickoff has to be in that 20-yard area right there, and it's returned at that point. It's going to be more like a punt return, and that's where Kevontae Turpin comes in.
Yeah, for sure. And then, of course, that's how you benefit from the Cowboys as well. Butter Aubrey, you got Brandon Anger, who obviously, I think he led the league in touchbacks last year. So, it'll be interesting to see how they get that ball back there.
And so the ball is returned out from the inside the landing zone, as they put it. Now, if the ball, the kickoff does not make it to the 20-yard line, then the receiving team will take possession at the 40-yard line. And if the ball is kicked through the end zone, it comes out to the 30-yard line.
Yeah, pretty much a game of field possession. I know the Cowboys lacked in that area a lot of games last year, so it'll be fun to see how they kind of maneuver that as well.
And of course, if the kick does not reach the 20-yard line, or if it goes out of bounds, it goes out to the 40-yard line. But I'm thinking the way that the Cowboys, Brandon Aubrey was able to kick the ball through the end zone about 99% of the time, let's forget about the kick returns. Go ahead and give up the 5 yards rather than the 25. Let's let them start at the 30-yard line. What do you think?
I think, 30-yard line is better than 25-yard line, so I'm gonna go with that all day.
It's also no onside kicks
yes.
until you can have an onside kick in the fourth quarter, but of course you're going to have to declare that we're trying an onside kick.
I put that down actually as one of my cons. It would take away from the onside kick opportunities, but declaring that it'll still take away the surprise from the onside kick opportunities. So, yeah.
You know, one thing that was very interesting, as soon as that rule got approved, the Pittsburgh Steelers signed Cordero Patterson, one of the top kick returners who is a free agent out on the market. All right, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the kickoffs in 2024. When we come back, some other rule changes we need to talk about when the Blitz continues in a moment.
This segment was brought to you by AT&T, an official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome back to the Blitz, your Dallas Cowboys report. Bill Jones with Nicole Hutchison here. And we talked about rules changes and the new kickoff in the NFL for 2024. That's not all that happened at the owners' meetings this past week. There's some other rules changes that go into effect, and one of them, I'm going to call it the Tony Pollard rule. I mean, in the past we've had the Roy Williams rule, which was, of course, for the horse collar tackle, the Emmitt Smith rule, not taking off your helmet after you score a touchdown because of what happened to Tony Pollard in that playoff game against San Francisco, the hip drop tackle, the outlawed, banned from the league. I'm going to call that the Tony Pollard rule.
Oh yeah, you might as well call it the Tony Pollard rule. I mean, this is something that obviously the NFL is doing a really good job of trying to ensure safety, player safety at that. You look at the numbers last year alone, 230 hip drop tackles last season. 15 were injured and missed a game due to the tackles. That's a 60% increase from the previous season. So obviously you want to see that number go down, but definitely certainly a way to move forward with that.
And it is a 15-yard penalty. And one of the key things on this is even if the officials miss the call or don't see it on the field, it's subject to review and subject to fines, which will be a big enforcer as well, as you might be getting a letter from the league office later in the week if you do perform a hip drop tackle. The new challenge rule in the league is coaches now are granted a third challenge if they are successful on at least one challenge. And in regards to challenges as well, intentional grounding, roughing the passer, and hits out of bounds are all also subject to challenges now.
I'm all for this challenge. They do this actually in pro tennis and women's and men's tennis. If you get 3 challenges a set, but if the player wins a challenge, they always get to keep the challenge that they won, so they'll remain with 3. So I like this challenge. We looked at the numbers on Girls Talk, Boys Talk this weekend. Mike McCarthy in challenges in 2023 was 1 of 1, and in the last 3 seasons he's 4 of 10. So hopefully that number goes up.
And by the way, you can watch and listen to Girls Talk, Boys Talk, DallasCowboys.com. All right, how about the trade deadline, too? I think this is big, too, because the trade deadline is being pushed back a week now after week 9, and I think it is the later that you can have it in the season, the better, because you really don't know at midseason whether you're in contention, whether you're trying to trade away or trade to add to your team at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's not enough time to assess your roster, right? And you look at other teams, other sports leagues around, NHL, 21% of the regular season remaining when that compared to when the trade deadline is. MLB, 32% of the regular season remaining. NBA, 38% of the regular season remaining. So the only major sports association with half of the regular season remaining is the NFL. So still on tap. I think that this will be do a lot of good, because when you look at Week 9 last year when they played Philly, they were 5-3. That still wasn't a good amount of time to really assess this Cowboys roster.
I love the research. She's filled up her legal pad there. And, when we come back here on the Blitz, we're going to dive into running backs in the draft as we get you ready for NFL Draft Day at the end of the month.
This segment was brought to you by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome back to the Blitz. Bill Jones, Nicole Hutchison, now joined by Nick Harris of DallasCowboys.com. And let's break down the running back class in this NFL draft. And Nick, you had an opportunity to go down to Austin, UT. Let's start. Just give me an overview to start off with. If a team like the Cowboys were to say, look for draft a running back this year, which of course the Cowboys do need to draft a running back this year, where's the sweet spot in this draft for a running back?
Yeah, probably right there in day 2 is probably where they would be looking. You know, you look at years past. Let's take last year, for example. Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs, they go within the first 12 picks. You kind of see a run of running backs start to ensue on day 2, whereas this year, the first running back's not going to be taken until the second round, and you don't really know where in the second round that first running back will come off the board. It could be anywhere from 40 to maybe even 60. You know, the Cowboys are right there at 58 in the second round. They could very well be taking the first running back off that board. I
mentioned you were down in Austin. Of course, the running backs coach at Texas, Tashard Choice. He had Bijan Robinson. He also had Jahmyr Gibbs at Georgia Tech. He also had Roschon Johnson, and he's got another running back in this draft, and of course, that's Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah, not to mention Jeff Wilson Jr. He had way back at North Texas. Yeah, he's had a long list of NFL caliber running backs come through his development. But yes, Jonathan Brooks is next up in line out of Hallettsville, Texas, there in Central Texas. Made it to a state championship down there with the Brahmas. Went to Texas and nearby Texas, only about an hour and a half outside of Hallettsville, and only had 1 year of starting experience having to wait behind Bijan Robinson and Roschon Johnson. But when he got his opportunity in 2023, he made every bit of it. He was able to play in 10 games last year. It was cut short with a torn ACL that he suffered against TCU in late November. Now, that has impacted his draft stock quite a bit. You know, we're talking about the first running back not coming off the board until day 2. Had he not had his torn ACL, I think there's a legitimate reality that he goes late first round. But now you're looking at it with this torn ACL, but a really good season that he put together last year for the Longhorns, not only on the ground, but in the receiving game. He did a lot of things for them to help eventually get them to that Big 12 championship. Without him, I don't think they're able to even get to that point, even if they didn't have him late in that run.
When you talk about another running back in this draft that is a top running back in this draft, Trey Benson out of Florida State, who had to deal with some injuries as well. Is there any concern there with the amount of injuries that he's had to deal with?
Yeah, speaking of torn ACLs, he tore his ACL whenever he started at his first college at Oregon in his freshman season. But he transferred to Florida State, got 2 years of starting experience, 900-plus yards in each of those games. He can do a lot of things out of the backfield. Even though he is a bigger type back, 6 foot, 216 pounds, he can still find a little bit of elusiveness outside of the tackles. But it is that between the tackles game that I really do love from Benson. He's decisive in between the tackles. He's able to get into the second level rather quickly. I think he's going to be really productive at the next level. It's not often that you're talking about a big back that is averaging 6 yards a carry at the ACC level. So I really love what Trey Benson brings to the table as well.
Let me ask you about a running back who has experience right here in Frisco, Texas, playing for South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits, a 2-time FCS national champion, and that, of course, would be Isaiah Davis.
Yeah, when you talk about pet cats, this is one of mine in the draft. I think whenever you're looking at day 3 options, if the Cowboys wait until day 3, round 5 and beyond to take a running back, I think Isaiah Davis is a very sneaky option. You mentioned having a lot of experience here in Frisco, won back-to-back national championships with the Jackrabbits, and he was a big part of both of those teams. 1,400-plus yards on the ground in each of those seasons, 6'2", 220 pounds, and you see those long legs. They're able to really affect the contact balance whenever tacklers are trying to come up and make a play on him. He's able to slip through guys rather easily. I really like Isaiah Davis. I think he's going to be a fun day 3 option for any team that does draft him.
But you would think that the Cowboys will, on one of these days of this draft, the Cowboys are going to draft a running back.
Yeah, you would have to think so, and maybe even 2. Who knows?
Let's hope so.
There you go. All right, Nick Harris, we appreciate your insight each week here on The Blitz. And when we come back, Nick was a busy man at Ford Center at the Star in Frisco as Big 12 Pro Days were going on this week.
The Dallas Cowboys Blitz, presented by Blockchain.com, was brought to you by AT&T, an official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today.
Final couple of minutes here of the Blitz. Bill Jones, Nicole Hutchison, and Big 12 Pro Days. This was unique. It was at Ford Center at the Star in Frisco. This week, a chance for us to go out and see some of these Big 12 players that are NFL draft prospects. And there's one guy, Nicole, that I've got my eye on. out of Texas Tech. His name is Dadrion Taylor Demerson. He is a true free safety. He ran a 4.41 at the combine. He had a 38 vertical. And this guy, more than anything, is a playmaker for Texas Tech. And I'm hearing from the so-called draft experts out there that the NFL teams like this guy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, why not? He's just natural, pure ability. You talk about the broad jump, second longest broad jump in history of the combine, fastest 40 time amongst safeties. He has a unique story, too. I think he played running back in high school in Oklahoma, too. So it'd be a great landing spot here in the Cowboys. Just throwing that out.
We're not thinking so much about safety, but you're not just thinking about this year. You're thinking about
the future.
That's right. That's what this is all about. And the Blitz is all about that next week as well. Thanks for joining us this week, and we will see you again next week here on the Blitz.